Steve Gillen's top La Cosa Nostra interviews with John ALITE, Mike FRANZESE, Anthony ARRILLOTA, and me, your host, Bobby Luisi. We have a great interview for you today here. Steve Gillen's going to be on today. And Steve was a former crime boss in East London. And he has an amazing story of redemption. You know, Steve was born in the UK. As a child, went to Belfast, being raised by his aunt. And at the age of 7 years old, he saw his first murder. Young boy dying on the street, bleeding, crying for his mother. And of course, this influenced him over the years. And Steve's been in and out of homes and different places during that time. He spent 17 years in prison, and he has an amazing story of redemption. So I really like you to stay tuned in. I think this is going to be a fascinating interview today. So I'll be back with Steve in 1 minute. Thank you. It does. I know it does. I want the viewers to see the similarities between all these organized crime groups. And that's what I was trying to bring out with you over there, because it's the same over here, you know, and everybody respects, everybody works with each other. You know, I was fortunate enough, a lot of neighborhoods here are Irish and Italian, mostly, you know, and now we got a lot of Spanish neighborhoods now. And everybody has their own groups, you know. And the Irish in Boston were very strong for over 100 years here, and good people, you know. And I'm always fascinated with England, with London, even in its history. You know, I love it.
I mean, I've got to tell you, Bobby. I'll come in there just to fill in a bit. That, you know, for what I know, you know, and anyone would tell you, in my days there, you know, it was some of the strongest, really structured, organized crime groups then. They was Irish.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a few different families that come from, and they was Irish. You know, I knew the Irish ones over in Ireland as well. You know, these are big guys. They're running absolutely everything, right? Yeah. You know, and then you had your Chinese gangs as well. I knew them. Didn't have too much to do with the Russians. But you had, you had the Chinese guys as well. And there was the Italians, you know, they were smaller and they was more kind of low key in what they done.
Right.
They was, you know, into a lot of business and different stuff, but they was big people still, you know, they'd move a lot of stuff, but they was a lot cleverer. They would keep off the radar more.
Yeah.
More
they were
here
a little different rackets.
So
you didn't clash too much. Yeah, I understand that. Now, all right, you did 17 years in maximum security prison. That's what we call it here. You know, Class A prison. Yeah, what was it like for you in there? When did you start really turning your life around? Because I read something about a spiritual encounter you might have had with your Aunt Marge. Would you speak about that?
Yeah, I mean, the truth is that even in my darkness, and I have to say how it was, I was a very violent prisoner. Yeah. A lot of stuff from the outside we was involved in translated into prison. So there was a kind of a gang stuff going on there. I mean, I see people killed in front of me, a few guys. You know, I had to do things, or, you know, to defend myself, or it was going to be me. It was law of the jungle, really, you know. And I can remember, and of course, I fight with the officers. I mean, they put me in units, which was prisons in prisons. I wasn't a normal prisoner. I was not the general population. I was Supermax, and I was treated different. And the truth is, I responded really bad, you know, really bad to prison. You know, I didn't cope too well. So my thing was to fight against it. There was a lot cleverer ways to do it. It was just my way, Bob. I wouldn't advise it to no one, but it was my way, you know. And I can remember through that process, I'd done 11 years and 9 months of that 17-year sentence in one stretch, right? Yeah. And I can remember I never thought I was going to get out of there. I thought they'd kill me or I'm going to kill someone. That's what I thought. I couldn't see what future looked like, but I can remember that after a few years of that, I felt like every emotion had been sucked out of me. I was a non-human person. You know, I was buried. I was like the walking dead. And I had to be like this to survive that torture of what I was going through. Really, this was just what I was. So if I paint that picture, but for a long time, coming towards the end of that, you know, I was an intelligent guy, and I knew there was more, and I wanted out of that life. It was just at that point, I was so trapped. But look, to go back to your question about the spiritual encounter, I'm just painting the environment here to the listeners so they can get more of an understanding of where I was at. Was about 5 years into the sentence, you know, I'd been involved in another altercations and violence and all this stuff, and they took me down the block, and I was in the streets, all this stuff again. And I have to admit, I come to a point, Bob, I thought it was late at night, I was in the strip cell again. I had about 9 years in front of me, I had 4 years behind me. I didn't think I was going to get out.
Right.
It was dark, it was about 2 in the morning, and I thought to myself, I had got myself into a place, I thought, you know what? What is the point of this? I actually think I can do this. And at that time, I had the head like a Roman. I thought, you know what? I'll fall on my sword. This is what I actually thought, how fucked that is, but it's the truth. Yeah. I thought, you know what? You know, I'm not doing it. I won't keep going like this. I'll fall on my sword. So I was positioning myself into this terrible, torturous mindset. And then, you know, a lot of suffering. I really coming to the end of it, and in a bad place. And then suddenly, it wasn't like a bright, like I'm in the cell, but it's like the darkness of the cell softened. And then I felt it's just this unbelievable power and feeling. It was a feeling. Yeah. And it just come from the ceiling. And it was so profound, Bob. It come down slowly. This is what was so profound. And it covered me softly.
Oh, praise God.
And it was just an unbelievable feeling of love, of comfort, of, hey, it's going to be all right. It didn't speak. It was just the full feeling. And how profound it was that I was in such a state of despair. Really, it doesn't happen overnight. This happens over days and weeks where I'm getting to this place, right? And then this profound thing happens that comes onto me like an invisible cloak, but then it just stayed there, kind of embracing me, this thing, for about 30 seconds. But it was just enough to kind of cleanse that terrible torture I was feeling, Bob. And then it just lifted off me again as slowly, softly, gently as it had come on me. And it's like it washed, you know, I still felt, but it was so profound. It had took that away from me, you know, and I'll never forget it. So that was
I've had a lot of thing for me. Encounters like that myself, Stephen. And, you know, you said you're a devout Catholic, and, you know, the Lord sent down the Holy Spirit upon you to bring you that peace. And in that time, you felt there was something else. You felt something in your heart, and you felt something to live for, didn't you? You know, I mean, God's amazing the way he comes and touches people. Now, it doesn't mean that you're in church every Sunday and you're on your knees 3 times a day. But if God has a plan for you, brother, you know, he's going to come and touch you. And praise God, you got touched.
Bob, you know what I've learned? I can say on my journey is look, and this is no trickery. This is not drugs talk or I've lost my mind talk. I'm very clear about this. It's so profound that it couldn't be anything else but otherworldly in that way. Let's just get that really, really clear. Now,
yes.
Look, you know, I've always been spiritual. You know, since I was a kid, we'd be marched up and down to, you know, to the priest and church and all this stuff, right? You know, but so, you know, I understood that life. You know, I had all of that around me since before I could remember. But apart from that, even in the worst of times now, looking back with hindsight, I can remember being in the deepest dungeon up in Scotland, crazy places. They used to send me so far, you know, to break me down so I wouldn't get visited. It's just crazy stuff they used to do, yeah? And sometimes in the deepest dungeon, you know, in the deepest despair, I'd get this little voice and just say to me, you have to do this. And I thought to myself, I said, why do I have to do this? Go through this living hell? Of course, it's a very sincere. And you know, it's not your voice. You just think, you have to do this. It's like an instruction. But it's kind of telling you in a nice way that, look, there's a purpose for this. It's going to be okay. Things will change. But of course, it doesn't amplify that. And you know, I mean, I've come to learn that, look, if you're looking for higher power, this is higher power right there. It's that voice. Yeah. That voice in the dark that you know is not yours, that comes at that time. And look, you know, I mean, then, all right, I didn't even know if I had a future, Bob. I couldn't see a future. Right. My heart I was in the blackest of darkness. But now, you know, you go on, you know, I mean, I'm 50 now. You know, I'm a global entrepreneur. Yeah, God bless. I'm a humanitarian. You know, I'm a peace ambassador. You know, I went on to be nominated for an International Peace Prize. Yep. You know, they're making a film of my life. You know, I have wonderful people in my life, wonderful children. But I suppose the real richness is the chances that I was given and the strength I was given and the support I was given and the wisdoms that I was given as I was guided through this life to be a conduit, to be a tool, a vessel for me to learn, but for me to be outwards to try and heal and help other people. This is an unbelievable privilege and an unbelievable gift.
So what I learned in prison, you know, how active I was on the street, and what I learned in prison is we have to be broken before we could be made whole again, you know? And you went through that period of the brokenness, you know, and then you were made whole again. And for a purpose, because I see your purpose in the things that I read and the things that I see, you know? You're a good man. You had a good heart. You were just a product of your environment like I was, you know? And God comes after people that persevere, people that are persistent. Now, I don't mean to keep saying God because, listen, there's a lot of different religions out there, Hindu, Buddhist, Muslim, whatever your faith may be, you know, and that's the higher power that you have to reach for. And that's what cleanses us and makes us whole again. And your story is amazing and fascinating. What I want to go on to now is, you mentioned some things that you're doing today about this Peace Prize, being an entrepreneur, you know, and you have an awesome podcast. I love your podcast and your interviews. And you could pull these things out of people. And I really enjoy that, you know. But I want to talk about good things now. I want to go back now to your book, to your life story, to your autobiography. And what's in the works with that right now? And what stage are they in with it right now? I know the book is written. I'm talking about the movie. Because that's going to be exciting.
Look, it's super exciting. And you know what? It's not what people think. I mean, just before this, you know, we come on here to do this interview, I was you know, I was talking to some other guys in Canada and some other guys in LA there. They were doing, because we're also doing a TV series and we're doing other stuff. And this is very transformational stuff, the TV series. And you know what, for me, I'm a very grateful person, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the thing that always keeps me safe and gives me a purpose and protects me even against myself, Bobby, because
Right.
we have this stuff in us, you know, we don't, you know, there are stains that can come through us, like natures and memories and stuff. And you know, we have to make amends for a lot of stuff, but it's there. It's like a bit of Brighton rock. It goes through it. It's about managing that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it's about atoning for that. You know, it's about making amends for this stuff. It's about developing as a human being so we can learn more and do more, right? You know, and when you really start to get to a place where you embrace this and where you can see more, you really see, and you see behind a lot of stuff that we couldn't see behind before, then
You were blind to this.
yeah, my experience is that when we embrace that and we start doing the right things and we start walking in the right way, then good people appear, you know, to aid us on that journey, because they're on their journey, and you know, this becomes bigger and better and brighter. You know, there's a lot of opportunities in this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is like the film and my book, but the beating heart of that is the truth. It's about the authenticity, and it's about coming from the right place, but seeing the right ending too. I can't stress how important this is. People think, oh, you're lucky. Oh, you know, you just know some people. Oh, you had a big load of money, or, you know, you just met the right guy at the right time. All the successful people I know, and I know many, this is not how this energy works. It's where it comes from and where it's going. The middle bit is the middle bit. Life is the middle bit. It's where we solve the problems. It's where we fall down and get up.
That's right.
You know, I hope that helps a bit.
Yeah, it's gonna help the viewers. I mean, this was great, you know, today talking to you about this, you know, because these are things that we learn through experience, you know, and that we want to make people understand. There is no such thing as luck. Everything has a plan, and I believe that. And we got to walk straight in that plan. And if we do that and stay on that path, then the great things are going to come. And I really believe that, Stephen. And you've done that and you have achieved it. And that's the most important thing, you know?
And absolutely. I mean, I can say about the film, look, the film's there. You know, you're talking big names for this. They're talking a $30 million budget and Hollywood. And I can go on about that and all that. Look, you know, it's a great privilege. It's very exciting. Of course it is. But when you get to that person where you're more of have more substance and and you see more as a human being, this is a big reason why these things can actually happen and more in your life. It's not how fancy this stuff is, or of course it's exciting. There's a lot of work behind it, but the real engine of this stuff, what I've learned from where I come from, which is a very dark place, is, you know, it's the giving, Bob. It's the us learning about ourselves in the right ways, but wanting to pass that on.
Mm-hmm. See, in my life, I believe, Stephen, that everything that I possess in my belief system is from God. It should be shared. It should be given. You know, I mean, it's just, I've learned so many things in life. I mean, even on the street, I was a giver. I helped a lot of people, but in a bad way, if you understand. I didn't help the right people. So if I could do that in Satan's world, I could do that in God's world. And I could do that for God. If we really have that belief system in our hearts, we can achieve anything. Anything is possible. Anything. And you're living proof of it right now. You know?
So absolutely. I mean, when I think what you just said there, Bob, you think back to, I mean, there was a lot of variables going on there, where he was born, and the programming had a big part in it. Unwitting or not, it doesn't really matter. It was what it was, and we was told to look at the world in a certain way. A lot of this was unhealthy. It didn't change who we was. But the difference is, if we're lucky enough to get the second chances, Bob, or we're lucky enough to because there's more of a purpose or more for us to do. So we get an open door to do more, see more, be more, is that we work ourselves out. And that's always not just about us, because there's a lot more going on here.
Oh, yeah.
Days we've got the blinkers on, right?
Yeah, there is. I'll tell you, so now, what do you got coming up now, Stephen? With the podcast and your tours and everything you're doing?
There's so much, really. I mean, I'm meant to be going to Australia. They said, they want me to do a public speaking there, go up through there. We're looking at this COVID thing. They said, look, would you do it? That'd be great. We'd love it. I said, yeah, absolutely. There's Aboriginal, and then we go up all the way through there. So trying to make that happen. I'd love to do that. And, I do what my heart takes me. And you know what is really, I mean, I'm not silly. I have a responsibility now so much to others. But I've built this and I love that. For a man, for what we are, and to do that honestly and to be doing it the right way and building other people's lives and, having a real happiness yourself, is an unbelievable privilege. So I just keep it simple, and a lot of that is because of the wonderful people around me, Bob, it has to be said.
Yeah, well, simplicity is a gift. It really is. I mean, the simpler life is, the more peaceful you go through life. And people don't understand that, be satisfied with what you have. Keep walking that straight line. When you're knocked down, get back up. Things can happen for you in life. Before we go, Stephen, could you talk about your podcast a little? I know that most of the people that watch mine are definitely watching you, but for the few that aren't, could you just talk about it a little?
Absolutely. Look, we've got all kinds of guys on there. There's billionaires on there. There's some famous actors, but with the big shift, I go on there, I do pieces of camera, I say a lot of stories and different stuff. And, we do that. We've got a few different playlists, but, you've got people on there like Nick Yaris, he done 20 years on death row for a murder he didn't commit. There's a lot of adversity on there. And of course, there's all the top current mob guys are on there. Michael Francis, you got John ALITE on there. You got yourself. You got, this. I can go on and on and on. And I'm booked all the way through for the next month with a lot more names. John Panisi, Anthony Roggiano this week, right? He's coming on. And I love these guys, and these guys love me because no matter of we're across the pond or whatever, it's the similarities, and we're at times in our life where we just know and see so much more. So, I guess I've done so many interviews like you guys, and some are better than others, but there's nothing like having someone who you have a real synergies with, who you just know so much more, who can come with some angles, but he understands the full picture.
Yes.
It's a lot easier for guys to really go through their story with that when they know they got someone who understands what he's talking about, right? Exactly. And so, basically I'm getting, all the guys, and, a lot of these guys, I say, look, Stephen is the one to take me through my story. So I'm very happy to, we explore their journeys.
Yeah, it is. That's why I can relate so much with you. And I was excited when you wanted to come on my show, and listen, I have to thank you for coming on today. I think this was a great interview, and hopefully to see you soon, my brother. And God bless.
God bless. My pleasure. Look, keep going. And, I'm sending blessings to everyone over there in Ealing. Have a wonderful day.